From Fox 8 Sports, this is the Overtime Podcast.
From the Fox 8 studios in New Orleans, this is the Fox 8 Overtime Podcast. I'm Vasilios, that is Sean Fazan. Remember to like, subscribe, rate, and review. You guys can find us wherever you listen to and now watch your podcasts, on our YouTube channel especially, where you hit that subscribe button, and you can hit that little bell button right next to it to get notified anytime we upload a new video. Sean, OTAs are underway for the third straight week. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Before I get into that, like Sil said, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review on YouTube, the Fox 8 Overtime Podcast YouTube channel. Be sure to subscribe, like, and share. The more you do, the better it is. The more videos come out, all those good things. So we are now on this number 4 in the new look of the Fox 8 Overtime. A bit of a transition phase here. We are with this episode 4 of this new look, this cozier look, right here as we work our way through June and we work our way through Saints OTAs. As you mentioned, Saints OTA week number 3 was quite noteworthy, both on the field, off the field, everything. First and foremost, it was the best practice we've seen. It was the best, most competitive practice we've seen. And when I say best, most competitive, ebb and flow, back and forth. Offense made plays, defense made plays. But it started out fairly normal, fairly ordinary, until about 45 to about an hour. Do I have my time right? I don't know. Somewhere in the middle of practice, we're watching. It's the routes on air. It's the warm-ups. And lo and behold, old number 13 makes his way onto the football field. It's the first time we've seen him on the field in a very, very, very long time. So just a quick backstory here because, the last update we had gotten from Dennis Allen about Michael Thomas was that piece removed from his foot, hardware, I think it was called. I guess it was right before OTAs. That was the last update. We hadn't seen him, and I had always kind of taken the approach, just given what we had seen and just given what we've kind of all witnessed over the last 3+ seasons. When he's there, he's there. Well, he was there. So there are a few things here that are happening with this Michael Thomas situation. First and foremost, it was intentional. He wanted to be seen. And they wanted to make sure we saw him out there. They wanted to make sure we saw 13 and 4 talking, which they talked all day long. It felt like once he was out there.
We got plenty of video of that
he
too.
He came out there while we're still doing the shooting session. And just for those that don't know, you usually get a half-hour window. It's usually stretching, warm-ups, no team, no 7-on-7 stuff at OTAs. So he comes out there as we're shooting, and a couple of us were on the side like, man, I think they're letting us shoot a little bit longer here because it certainly feels like our half hour is up to put the cameras away and just start watching practice. And we're not going to complain. We just kept watching, kept shooting. I shot some stuff with my phone. Edwin Good, our photographer, certainly got a lot of him talking with Derek Carr. So they wanted that to be out there. Michael Thomas wanted that to be out there. So what does that say? Well, to me, that finally says the secrets are done. Like we're done with the guessing. We're done with the having to project from workout videos. He is finally here. He's finally present. Now, he wasn't doing anything, live reps or anything. He was doing more mental reps. You could see him, like as they were doing routes on air with the receivers when they had 5 or 6 of them on the field, or 5 on the field. He's kind of doing the jab step, like what he would do, I guess, on that play in that particular route. Then he was talking a lot with Derek Carr. Then when they moved to a different phase, Derek Carr, and a couple of other quarterbacks were off to the side with him. It was a few very shorter routes that he would run, but also it was that thing where they'd go like 10 yards downfield, run in place with his arms and catch the ball, then a little further, run in place, catch the ball. So it wasn't like he was running deep routes, but it's something. It's something. So I think what it really says is they're done with all of it. They're done with all the nonsense in terms of health recovery timeline. This is the timeline. He's ready. We expect him to stick to this timeline. And you talk to Dennis Allen, he's optimistic about training camp. But if you talk to Michael Thomas, he's emphatic, ready to roll, full speed, like we're used to seeing with Michael Thomas on the first day of training camp coming, in that last week of July. So, good thing. Obviously, it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. It's a positive step in the right direction because, as we know, and you showed it last year, when healthy, he's still a beast. He didn't lose anything. It's just he's just been unhealthy. When he's healthy, he is an absolute beast on the field, and his presence was certainly missed. The contested catch is really what Dennis Allen talked about after practice, and he is the best. He was the best first-level receiver in the game 3 years ago. When I say first level, 0 to 10 yards, the slant route, the hook route, the out route, the stop route. I mean, with guys in coverage, and the windows are extremely tight, he can still make the catch. And it's that skill set is certainly something the Saints have missed and certainly something the Saints value. So, all good things. You'd rather see him than not see him. We got to see him on the field. We talked to him after. He seemed to be in very good spirits. Sometimes you never know with Mike. We've seen him go to a war over Twitter things. We've seen him hold grudges. We've seen him be happy. We've seen him be upset. We've seen him be, all and everywhere in between. But he seemed to be in a good headspace, seemed excited, seemed like, he's a guy that's finally ready to get back on the field. Again, all good things from the Saints, from Derek Carr, from Michael Thomas. But it's a big but. It's a big one. I said it last night multiple times. I will say it again. Getting healthy does not equal staying healthy. He got healthy a season ago. He couldn't stay healthy. Mm-hmm. He can't. Right now, he's in the getting healthy phase. Great. And by the end of July, we should see him full speed, and that will be fantastic to see that chemistry with he and Derek Carr grow.
Should see him full speed.
He says it, so we're going to hold him to it. Hopefully there's no setback, because if there is a setback or the timeline's longer than they anticipated, that's another storyline given the history of his injuries. But getting there will be the first hurdle. He hasn't cleared it yet. Staying there is the next one, but of course we don't know if he's going to stay healthy until the season starts. So
exactly.
And he's missed 40 games over the last 3 seasons. He has been unavailable more than he has been available. But if you get that guy back, he is still a game changer, difference maker for your offense, and you can just tell. You talk to Derek Carr, you talk to the coaching staff. He's a huge part of their plans. He's not the forgotten guy. He is a huge part of what they intend to do in 2023. So the Michael Thomas experience for OTA number 8 couldn't be anything other than a positive one. It's just a matter of get healthy and stay that way.
I mean, I have nothing really to add to that. I mean, I think you kind of laid it out really nice and simple for everybody that's watching right now. And I think I love seeing the rapport growing between Derek Carr and Michael Thomas. We all know Derek Carr loves the big physical contested catch receivers, a la Devontae Adams, who he had a chance to work with last year. So, and I remember when they brought Derek Carr in, one of the things that he said was he loves Michael Thomas. He didn't want to get off the phone with him. So I love seeing that connection. And we've talked about this before, but Michael Thomas being around at least this early in the process in the summer, that is nothing but an absolute bonus for everybody involved.
That's it. I mean, it's really how you have to view it. I mean, you have to almost go in with the idea that he may not be available and that he probably will be unavailable at some point in the season. You just hope it's not one of those that lingers and it's another 10, 11, 12 games missed. If he could just get back into double digits, give me 10, give me 11 games, and let's just see how much that impacts wins and losses for the New Orleans Saints. But you mentioned Derek Carr. He spoke a lot about Michael Thomas. But when you watch Derek Carr now for the 3rd week, he said something interesting. He said, I want to hear from Mike. I want to hear certain situations. What did Drew do? I'm not so proud to think I don't have to do it that way. I'm here to win. But he mentioned something. He goes, I don't think I've learned it yet. I'll never say I've mastered it, but I'm a lot further along than I was. Translation, he's picking things up. He's picking up the system, and you can tell.
Quickly.
You can tell. In fact, a couple of us had noticed, and I think that's kind of what some questions have been thrown out there. Hey, you've really caught on. Is it even quicker than you anticipated? I know Dennis Allen was asked specifically about that. He still thinks it's a process, but it won't be for a lack of work if he doesn't understand, if it doesn't come together. I mean, after every play, there's discussion. After every play, pre-snap, post-snap, there's dialogue between what's happening on a given play, given the scenario, ball placement, where do you want it. There was a situation with Juwan Johnson, where it was one of those, I'm going to put it here instead of here, or so line up a foot inside, something like that. Just details. Derek Carr's style is to stay in constant dialogue and constant communication, which creates chemistry, which leads to comfort within this offense. He's your new starting quarterback. You've got to get on the same page. And I think it's exceptional awareness by him to say, okay, I'm in a new spot. I think he mostly knew most of the language, but I don't know everything. I want to get there, so I want to put myself in as many situations as possible to go through as many possible outcomes / scenarios so we can just talk through it as quickly as possible. And you're just seeing that. So that's impossible to deny. It's impossible to ignore when you watch the first couple weeks of OTAs, now from week 1 to week 2 to week 3. So I thought yesterday's practice was great because it was a little bit of everything. You had Michael Thomas, you had Derek Carr, who's developing chemistry with, here I go, breaking my own rule. Look, the OTA MVP has been Chris Olave. That's just a fact. Now, look.
Around the ball, there's always going to be someone. Shaheed wasn't there yesterday. I don't know if there was some kind of injury or if he just had something else going on, but he wasn't there. At least I didn't see him. But you've seen the growth. You've seen the chemistry. That's something to certainly watch. Now, they haven't had the full secondary out there, but you certainly would rather see him making plays in year 2's offseason than not making plays. So that certainly feels like it's in a good place. He had 2 touchdown passes from Derek Carr. He caught 2, one during 7-on-7, one during team, both during red zone. I don't know how he got matched up on a linebacker both times, but one was kind of beat a linebacker inside. The other, somehow he kind of got fit into that cover 2 hole in the back corner. Carr threaded it beautifully, and there was a touchdown scored on that play. So Olave, to me, has really ascended to where, okay, what I see, that's probably as a tangible a thing as I think can translate to when training camp comes, when obviously preseason and the regular season rolls around. A couple of other notes. Alontae Taylor was back on the outside. What did I tell you? They're trying to find a way to get him on the field. Yeah.
Where is he most comfortable? He had a PBU against Perry, the 6th round pick.
Yeah, and I saw Dennis Allen said something about it in the.
To me, look, if he's good enough to play because you want him on the field and he's worth the risk, fine. But if he's not there, don't risk it. Roby was back in practice yesterday. That was certainly a good thing as well. Mm-hmm. And the other noteworthy thing was, and this got a lot of traction when I tweeted about this, including from it looked like family members because the last name was the same. Brian Brazee, 1st-round pick, first-team reps. Look, it's OTAs. This is not something to project.
Yeah.
But we've said this in other pods. Make no mistake about it. This guy was the number 1 athlete coming out of number 1 football player coming out of his recruiting class, and injuries, somewhat set him back in college. But this is a game-changing talent when healthy. So, I guess what I'm saying is, look, it's OTAs, and I don't even know if he made a play or I didn't really necessarily look at his pursuit, but the idea of him at some point becoming a starter this season, to me, is not out of the question, especially when you talk about a couple of those guys are a little unproven. Not unproven. They're new. Brazee, Saunders, and Shepard. And one of them, 99, was not there. So which one is that? Is that Shepard or Saunders? I'm not sure which one that is. But he was not there at practice.
It's funny that you mentioned Brazee just because I wanted to touch on this, too, if his name did come up. And it's when Dennis Allen was talking about Brian Brazee yesterday, and someone had posed him the question about taking those first-team reps. Mm-hmm. He said that Brazee had a quickness and just talents that they haven't had for a few seasons inside that defensive line.
You caught that too, huh?
I did.
I thought that was telling. It was a pretty honest assessment from Dennis Allen of what they've had at that position. You've had run stuffers. You've had guys that could get up the field, but like Onyemata was a little more of a two-way guy. He can get up the field, but he's also going to be a run stuffer. But you could first off, those types of players are very hard to find. I mean, it's very hard to find a player that size with that kind of short area quickness in the trenches like that. So not every team's going to have it. But I think he's starting to let you in on the vision a little bit in terms of what they view this guy's skill set to be. Still a long way to go.
Long way.
He's not going the first team offensive line other than Eric McCoy has not been in a single OTA. They are not in pads. He's still going to have his rookie moments when it comes to training camp and preseason and into the regular season. But I do think it's noteworthy to go out of our way to say first team reps for your first round pick at that position is significant. So I think that was a decent development out of Saints camp. Another thing, maybe he was listening to all of us, listening. Traquan Smith was back and had himself a day. Had himself a nice day. Caught a couple touchdown passes, one from Jake Hayner, one from, I believe, two from Jake Hayner during team. I think he had another one. Let me look right here. I think he had another one from Carr. Let me check my notes here as I go through. He had one from Jameis during 7-on-7.
Hey.
He had one he had two from Jake Hayner. Well, one was on an over route, the first play of the third team with Hayner, and the other one was kind of like he ran a quick under route and then juked the guy and got into the end zone. So, Traquan Smith, how about that? A nice play, a nice day of practice as well, and he needs it. He needs every good practice day, Imagine, because I firmly believe he is on the roster bubble as you get into the regular season and preseason. Now, I don't want people to freak out about this because, as I said, it is June.
Mm-hmm.
They can get better. He is a rookie. Marcus Colston, arguably the best receiver in Saints franchise history, had a horrible rookie June. Only reason I bring this up because now we've seen, as a matter of fact, I looked over at Bobby Hebert, the Cajun Cannon, 3 or 4 instances where the 6th round pick, A.T. Perry, out of Wake Forest, had multiple opportunities now to make contested catch plays, including a couple yesterday.
Oh, boy.
He was not able to get it done. A couple fade routes. Matter of fact, it was 2 on fade routes where, look, he's a big guy. You line up on a shorter corner, go up and get the ball. Wasn't able to get it done. That will get better. But if we're going to highlight all the good things receivers are doing, we got to also bring up some of the things where some of these young guys could certainly get a little bit better. So, all in all, though, big picture, I've talked about the quiet confidence. You're starting to feel the shift of quiet confidence to real confidence, outward confidence, to genuine excitement about what this team could potentially be. And I kind of felt it yesterday. I'm kind of excited about this team going forward. This we may have something here. And it's been so long with the average play. It feels like a long time. It's been 2 years, but you're certainly starting to feel the building blocks of excitement within the organization, which you'd rather have it than not. You didn't have it this time last year. It was weird last year. It feels like this year that emotion has flipped. And I've said before, I'll say it again. It's good to have a starting quarterback. It's good to have a quarterback that the organization trusts.
I got one more question for you before we roll out of here. And seeing as we're at the end of OTAs, mandatory minicamp starts next week. I wanted to ask, what do you think is going to change that you have or haven't seen in OTAs that you think will or won't see in mandatory minicamps?
Here's the thing. Well, first off, everyone's got to be there.
Sure.
So we're going to get the look at the first team in a lot of areas. So if in our heads we have an idea of a starter that hasn't been there, and he comes back and he's not starting or he's not with the first team, that's something to certainly watch. B, I'm curious how long the practices are going to be. In fact, I got the email. I'll check. Maybe you could look that up. But how many reps? Because now with all the starters back, does that Now all of a sudden subtract some reps from some young guys that had gotten some decent reps the first 3 weeks of OTAs. That happens. That's part of it, man. That's part of it. When you are low on the totem pole like that, guess what? A guy that wasn't there but is regarded as a better player and or starter, they're going to get the reps. For instance, Marshawn Lattimore is going to walk in when he comes to minicamp. He's going to start at one of the cornerback positions. So that's just the way it goes. Same with Ryan Ramczyk at right tackle. I guess I'd be curious to see how they do opposite Marshawn. Is it a Debo guaranteed or is it a Debo and Taylor? Because I think that's a quiet battle brewing
between those two.
That could potentially brew. Another thing before we get out of here that I wanted to mention, the new kicker, it's Blake. What is his name? I should know this. Let me look it up real quick before we
cue the Jeopardy music.
Yeah, let me look. Is it Blake Group? Is that how you say it? Internet's not working here. Let's see. Anyway, he was 5 of 5 yesterday with his field goals, including a long of 58 yards to close out practice. And Dennis Allen, in no uncertain terms, said, "I look forward to the competition there." So there you go. You got yourself a competition at the kicker position with Will Lutz obviously returning. He had a tough year last year. We know that.
It's very interesting.
And then, come on, internet, please work. Blake Group, I believe is his name. Group A. I'm not sure how you say it. He is. He could be the next guy on the that could work his way onto the roster should he have a good camp with the Saints and in the preseason. That's really one of those battles you're gonna have to watch during preseason because this is gonna kill me if I don't get this name right. My internet's not working in here.
I got you. Let me see.
Yeah. Let's check this out. But that's really one battle that it's going to be something to really watch going forward just because.
This is the kid, right?
That's it. Yes. From Michigan?
Yeah, Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. I'm sorry, Notre Dame.
Yeah, I'm looking for the pronunciation. I don't see it, but
regardless, I will never mispronounce his name again if that's the case, and I won't forget his name again because the dude's got a legitimate shot at making a team if he comes ready to go, ready to play, and can show consistency kicking the football for the Saints. He's obviously kicked in some big games if he kicked for Notre Dame. So that's another battle that could potentially be brewing. So I think that's it. Next week should be fun. 3 straight practices, mandatory minicamp, and we'll be there for every single one.
All right. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Remember to like, subscribe, rate, and review. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the bell so you get notified whenever we upload a video. This has been the Fox 8 Overtime Podcast. For Sean, I'm Vasilios. We'll catch you guys next time.